The real mystery on Easter Island is not in the statues, but in a macabre trail of death that almost wiped out an entire civilization. Dr. Jared Diamond believes that the planet Earth is in trouble, and to understand why, we need look no further than this tiny island in the middle of the Pacific. Today, Easter Island is remote, barren, and largely uninhabited. But this is not nature's doing. The island used to be covered with tropical plants. It was home to exotic animals and a large human population, a population much like our own, Dr. Diamond suggests, that ignored the balance of nature.
I think the real appeal of Easter Island is that it is a microcosm for the world and what's happening to us. The biggest threat to human civilization in the next century is an environmental holocaust, and we can see the signs all around us.
Population biologist Dr. Paul Ehrlich also sees a cautionary tale in Easter Island.
The parallels so far between Easter Island and the global population are very clear. That is, Easter Island had a population explosion. We've had a population explosion. Easter Island then had a population collapse. The issue is, are we going to have a population collapse, or are we going to sensibly limit our reproduction so that we can begin a gradual return to a sustainable population size? Because right now, the population of the planet is far above the present carrying capacity.
And when the population of Easter Island exceeded its carrying capacity, not only was the Pacific paradise destroyed, so were the people.
Mistake number one, too many people. Mistake number two, they destroyed their biological environment. They chopped down the forest. With the loss of forest, there was soil erosion, so their agricultural productivity decreased.
You can see the same thing happening to the entire planet. Land degradation has affected a very large proportion of the world. Desertification has ruined a lot of the western United States.
When the last tree was gone, the islanders had sealed their fate.
They did not have the raw materials needed to build canoes with which they could then go to sea and feed themselves. So they exterminated some of the wild species on which they depended for food. The result was that when they had eliminated the main sources of wild protein, they then turned to the only source of large protein remaining on the islands, namely humans. They turned to cannibalism.
Things got so tough that they began eating each other. I mean, one of the classic curses on Easter Island was, your mother is stuck between my teeth. That's not the situation we want to get into here on the planet as a whole.
But could the island's history repeat itself on a global scale?
Our population and the scale of the human enterprise is growing essentially exponentially. And we could very easily face a demise such as that took over Easter Island.
Essentially all the tropical rainforests outside of parts of Amazonia and Zaire will be destroyed by the year 2030. The world population is doubling about every 42 years. That then is an absolute limit on human population.
What we need to do immediately is to raise to the top of the human agenda the whole issue of how we reduce the scale of the human enterprise to the point where the planet can sustain us essentially permanently. If we don't start doing that immediately, I fear for the future of our civilization.
Paul Ehrlich offers his dire predictions not because he's a fatalist, but because he believes there is still time to turn things around.